I can't fault them. They are 4-0. And I think the confidence and the comfort may fall into favor here. So we'll see what they lock in.
So Maokai being banned away along with Evelyn by Alliance. And of course, Kassadin and Lee Sin being taken away. That leaves Elise possibly on the table. Fizz being removed. A lot of big choices available, though, for both teams. Should it be required? Of course, Anivia out there. You never know. You never know. I'm pretty sure Froggen's not going to play that one again.
I don't want to rule it out. Yasuo is still up. It's something Froggen has played in the past when he wants to go split push. Twisted Fate, Irelia. Riven is still up, as is that Elise that you talked about. But Diamond has been playing Rengar and Kha'Zix in recent weeks, and Shook has been playing Riven. So we may not even see those sort of trifecta junglers that we tend to see all so often.
So Twisted Fate locked in. First time in a good few weeks, actually. He's been snuck through the ban phase. We'll see how Froggen deals with that one. What will Gambit go with? A lot of choices for them, of course. Will Kog'Maw potentially be locked in? Or Tristana? Genja? Is he switching things up again here? This could be crazy.
Knowing your opponent's mid lane and locking in some preferential AD carry and supports, it is a fairly safe option if Gambit want to go that route. Maybe getting a Thresh for Edward or Morgana or Braum, as all the supports are still up and available. But decide against it, and it is going to be that switch for Genja.
You know, you got some big balls when you pick Aurelia up against Wicked, because he knows how to counter that champion as well as play it. Tristana, though, as we mentioned, Genja venturing out once again, and we'll see how this one works out for them. Finally, decided to move away from that Caitlyn.
Late game, long range. Kog'Maw into Twisted Fate is always going to be a difficult matchup. I keep harping on about how immobile he is when you can jump onto him, and Twisted Fate will almost always find a way to jump onto him. And I like the fact that you point out that Irelia is taken off the table. What is Wicked going to play? Shyvana would be the obvious choice, because Wicked plays Gragas or Irelia. That's where the list ends. And he needs to go back to a previous champion, and the ones that he's played more than any other and to mixed levels of success has been Shyvana mostly. We've seen the Malphite from time to time. And of course Lulu.
Yeah.
Lulu's the other one that you do have to keep in mind. But Alliance like to mix things up, so they've got a strong front line, they've got flanking presence, they've got a massive amount of split push power. Shyvana, if he goes Blade of the Ruined King and TF, they can push those side lanes for days, but still no jungler from Alliance.
We'll see how it works out for him. Of course, Tabs locking in that Kog'Maw. Tabs to farm up strong yesterday. It was a tough match for him and the rest of the team, honestly. So Gambit, what will they go with? Will we see jungler? What will Diamond go with? Elise is the most likely, but Diamond is never one to go with.
Kha'Zix is going to be a little more difficult in this scenario because the Destiny from Twisted Fate will obviously help counter that stealth and make him easier to focus in team fights. With Elise still being up and available, it is an option. And Gambit have got the makings of a strong team fight team here already. They've got, you know, the ball for engage and disengage, the Shockwave plus Irelia combo. If they put it on something like an Elise or even a Kha'Zix, you've got very strong engage power. Command Protect into Shockwave. But Alliance need to be grouped up. I also need to keep an eye on how Edward lands his bubbles. Because once Froggen starts teleporting into team fights, if Edward is paying attention and awake, he can do to Froggen what Millennium did to Jezus and SK. Jezus would teleport into team fights and get insta-gipped. And the power is there for Froggen, for Edward as well, if he gets those Aqua Prisons down.
What will the jungler be for Alliance? If looks like he's going to be on Thresh. 22 assists the other week he got in one of his crazy games. Of course, that did put them over the 1,000 threshold. Tabs has locked in Elise for Shook, so he will be going with the standard jungler this time around instead of that Riven.
And I actually think that's a smart call. The Alliance comp can push side lanes very effectively, and with the Twisted Fate, you're always going to have the power to find picks and single out solo targets. Once you add Elise into that mix, yes, Riven can do that as well, but it's slightly less risky with Elise. Long-range Cocoon, you've got ranged auto attacks for tower pushes, and I like the combo of Elise plus TF when going on those side lanes. With Elise off the table, it has to be Kha'Zix, it has to be Skarner. I'm not expecting it.
It's Edward, it's Edward.
It is Edward, but I'm just thinking for Diamond, what would Diamond run? He's done Skarner in the past. He's done Kha'Zix. Rengar is up as well. Rengar might fit. It'll be, it has to, come on, although, so Rengar Orianna is a combo that is used very successfully over in OGN. Kha'Zix will fill a somewhat similar role. He can throw his ultimate down, get the command protect when stealthed up, and assuming they can catch Froggen by surprise, he won't be revealed. But it is very, very dependent on Diamond getting ahead. I feel that when he plays Kha'Zix, he has no impact like he did 2 weeks ago, or he has a strong game and he's able to run amok like he did yesterday.
You know, cast your mind back 2 years, CLG EU versus Moscow 5 would have been the classic, but now it is Alliance top of the table versus Gambit bottom of the table. A lot has changed in the 2 years. Let's see if these pick and bans have.
So the first Destiny from Froggen, first 2 Destinies are going to be very impactful. If he can get his side lanes rolling, especially Siobhan and Kog'Maw, they can then stay ahead. Alliance's team comp is going to scale very, very effectively. On the other side of the coin, when we start seeing these team fights happening, Kha'Zix is eventually going to get resets, Tristana is eventually going to get resets. So for Gambit, it's all about getting that first kill, focusing him down, then getting those resets to keep fighting. So we need to see if they've got the coordination to beat Alliance. They did yesterday against the Wolves.
Yeah, they started out well. We'll see how it works out. Have these picks, of course, managed to change your vote? Tweet hashtag AllWin for Alliance or hashtag GMBWin for Gambit to @LOL Esports, and we'll see in-game if there's a new crowd favorite. Alliance, of course, leading the vote early on.
Yeah.
No surprises there. What do we think, though, overall? I mean, who's got the power early game? Because that seems to be where the games are starting to swing in everyone's favor.
In this particular matchup, I actually think it is a little bit in terms of Alliance because of the death sentence, because those first Destinies are going to be impactful. Kog'Maw is strong in lane. Elise is very impactful at early games once she gets access to a cocoon. But they need to make it count in the laning phase, because if Gambit ever get ahead, they also can stay here. They're very mobile, very aggressive champions.
A lot focusing on the junglers, they feel, Shook and Diamond, as it was in the previous matchup. Alliance starting out as the blue team up against Gambit as the red team, and we'll see whether we have any changes around in the lane phase.
So Ghost Flash for Froggen, not surprising there. Teleports in both top laners, and Flash heal for Nick. He was hovering on Flash Cleanse during Champ Select, but swapped that out to the last second. And I think for this game, the laning phase, if Alliance play aggressively, they've got the potential to set up a lot of kills, similarly to Gambit. But in order for, you know, a Kha'Zix and an Irelia to kill a Shyvana, Wicked really needs to be overextended or really needs to be caught out of position. And that doesn't happen all too often. Wicked is a fairly safe player. On the same token in the bottom lane, if Edward lands a good bubble, then Tabs or Nif could be in trouble. But just like the previous game, as long as Nif is paying attention, he can use that lantern and get Tabs to safety in the nick of time.
We'll see whether Nick himself in the mid lane will get caught out. Death sentence from Nif. Is he going to try and fling it out?
He will.
There? He's in dangerous perilous position. Not quite going to last. Nick stepped back there.
Well, that was optimistic.
It was optimistic, but it was worth a try, that's for sure.
Yeah, it always is. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything, you know. Your team is in position. So late game hyper carry for Alliance. They've got the makings of a lane swap with both Tabs and Nif hanging around that mid lane.
Yep.
With Elise in the jungle, we may even see one of those 3-4 minute tower dives onto Cubon. It's something that we see a lot of the European teams doing now in these lane swap scenarios. Red Buff Steel and Gambit seem to be reciprocating.
Yep.
And they're going to be taking Alliance. So teams are trading maps. Alliance will claim ownership of the top half, and Gambit will say, fine, we'll take the bottom half.
They're going to be a bit slower in this one, of course. They've only just got to the red, whereas Alliance have already taken it. 3 members to help them out on that one. Kubon and Diamond will be taking these Raiders down the bottom half of the map. Froggen play a little bit passively against Nick, I feel, early on. He's got to be wary of the fact that he could have 3 members of Gambit pouncing out of that jungle on him at any moment. Nick is also doing the same, which is why you can see them playing towards the opposite sides of the bushes. Doesn't know what's really coming out. Blue Wolf now being picked up by Alliance, as I mentioned, much quicker in this jungle phase, of course, because they started it off. Meanwhile, Diamond only just about reaching that blue buff area. We will see whether Shook, with that speed advantage, is able to do anything, but he's not only got a speed advantage, he's got to experience disadvantage because Wicked has been alongside him the whole step.
Yeah, so buddy system for Alliance, no buddy system for Gambit. Cubon's going to potentially join Diamond in the next minute or two. We did also see Tabs, as well as Nif, playing a little bit of the jungler role when they were moving around the map, and they cleared out some of the camps in the top half before moving into lane. But for the time being, it does look like a fairly standard lane swap scenario. And it's going to come down to when we see Wicked or Cubone going to lane, and this is Nick in trouble.
Uh-oh, gold card, death sentence, Nick's in trouble indeed. Ignite goes down, the play pulls it to the side. Eddie just in the right position at the right time, but now he's going to get focused on. Wicked is shook, dive towards Nick, meanwhile just off the side of the camera. First blood will go down, it's Wicked that picks that up. You see, again, another kill. This time Froggen goes down, Nif's in trouble. Cubone gets on towards him. That will be picked up by Eddie, and now they can see him turning around. Wicked travels, get on towards Edward, he goes down. 2 for 2 so far, Diamond taken low, but you can see Shook is all on his own. In goes pouncing Genja, and he will get on there. And would you believe, a 4 for 3 trade, I think it was, a 4 for 2 trade for Gambit, and now they go Dragon.
They managed to come away. Diamond is the man of the moment. Gambit had the numbers advantage, and Edward was in the right place at the right time. It's not over yet. Wicked has burned his teleport. He's looking to challenge for more kills.
And they're going to come around. Kubone's very low, Diamond's very low, but he is 3-on-1. He's got to be careful if he's going to stop this Dragon. The Dragon's still tanking out on Genja, but Genja's putting the pressure back down and towards him. Froggen comes in, Wildcards come through. Nick joins the fray, back on towards it. Gold card ready, and Alliance step away. Dragon was stopped by Alliance, and that is what they needed. And after all of that craziness, it's still only a 400 gold differential between these two teams.
Edward is probably the reason Gambit managed to come away with this. He's in range to support Nick. And look how quickly both Cubone and Diamond come to join the fray. So in a best case scenario, this is still a 4-on-4. But Gambit managed to group up and cluster and focus the right targets down. Diamond with the double buff stays alive the entirety of this fight, and Edward lands a great double bubble, locking both Wicked and Shook up, despite the fact he goes down instantly afterwards. 4 for 2, Dragon was not secured, so Gambit, while they have a gold lead, they didn't extend it further, and if you actually look at it, it's still fairly even between the teams. What we need to see is what Diamond does with those 2 kills and 2 assists. How much more can he impact the game?
Well, the vote still says Alliance will win it. We'll see whether that works out after a fantastic opening to this game. They're going to need to remember also, while that was all happening, Tappers was off on his own in that top lane, building up his farm. You can see 38-18 for Genja. Genja himself, of course, picked up that 1 kill.
Edward's in trouble.
Evens itself out. Eddie's in trouble. Death Sentence comes in. Cocoon goes down. Edward's in trouble. Wicked will get on towards him. He will get the last hit and get himself another kill. He's now 3 for 1.
That was just overextended. Eddie did not need to be there, had not anticipated Alliance would play that aggressively, and he gives up a kill. Now it's actually Alliance that are setting their sights on Dragon. They know they've got the numbers advantage, and they've just seen Diamond in the top lane. So they were assuming they could rush it down, but there's not a lot of damage between all the carries. Without having Cogmore there, that would have been a very, very long Dragon. So wisely, Alliance back away from it. But this is an interesting lane setup. Cubone is still roaming. You've got a 3-man in the bottom lane putting damage on the tower, and as you pointed out, Tabs is continuing to CS. He's got a level advantage, 2 level advantage over Genja, and nearly double the CS as well. So this Cogmore is going to come into the mid game significantly stronger than Genja if this roaming aggressive play continues to happen.
Well, Froggen, you can see, playing very passive. He's well aware of the fact that Diamond's in his half of the jungle. He passed by a ward a moment ago and was pinged out. Diamond will clear out the pink ward that Froggen just placed. So that's going to give Gambit the advantage in the top half of the jungle. That's going to give Tab some issues. You can see he's now gone back to buy. Gets himself a Sheen early, and now will join the lower half of the map down towards that bottom lane.
Yeah, with Dragon Threat being a possibility, that's why Tabs is going bottom lane. And we talked about how Diamond has got the kills for Gambit. Wicked is the one that's picked up all 3 kills for Alliance. So he's on Shyvana, champion I haven't seen him on in a couple of weeks. And he's got some early kills. So this lane swap shenanigans has actually worked out fairly well in his favor. He's got about a 600 or 700 gold lead over Cubone, which has allowed him to pick up an early chain vest. And we'll need to see how Wicked makes use of his teleport going forward. Still about a third of the way off cooldown. Gambit with some good vision in the river as well. So smart play actually from both of these teams thus far.
Genja not wanting any of that. The moment Tab showed himself in lane, he's like, I cannot compete with this. He's got a Sheen, he's well ahead of me in builds. I need to go back and spend some of this gold, but he can see it's a big differential between them right now. Pickaxe is all he will come back to lane with. He is trailing by around about 400 gold, so we'll see how that continues as this game moves on. He will completely wipe out that wave. Nif, of course, warding out, giving vision over at that Dragon, which was focused on early, but since then both teams have realized we need to step back a little bit, calm down this situation, because this game can get out of control quickly.
Yeah, it already started very chaotically, but Alliance are just pulling slightly ahead in the gold. A large portion of that is due to Tabs having a 30 CS lead over Genja, thanks to being left alone in lane. But we need to see how he continues to punish. Because of the strength that Tabs already has over Tristan in the laning phase with a Kog'Maw, and the early Sheen advantage, it is definitely something that he'll look to punish.
Nick and Diamond moving over towards this blue buff, actually. We are going to see Froggen, he wants to get it. Shook is having to back away from this one. This is going to get stolen away, I feel.
Shook smited
Man had to smite it, had to steal it away. That will be taken from Froggen then. And of course, that will cause him a few problems in lane against Nick.
Yeah, once again, just delaying the power spike. We talked about how important the first Destiny from Froggen will be. And something I remember Joe saying last year is how impactful that determines the rest of the mid game. We'll expand on that point in just a moment or two, as both junglers are chilling with Wicked and Cubon. Cubon does not have access to his ultimate yet. We need to see how quickly he can level up, because this could get very explosive.
Well, he tried to bait it out, but Diamond was being very obvious and just walking up there. I think they're realizing that there is a potential threat. Cubon, very aggressive, low on mana, so which is a big issue potentially on Aurelia should this go against him. He hasn't hit level 6 yet, though. He is about to. There we go. So he's now got his ultimate available to try and get some of that lifesteal on.
Look for a cocoon from Shook.
Very, very patient play. The ultimate used. Now the cocoon. Oh, perfect pixel placement there. But you can see Froggen coming in. They're going to tower dive this one. Gold card comes down. Cubon will drop. And that was so well executed. What a cocoon from Shook.
He managed to thread the needle. Despite the fact that the follow-up from Wicked wasn't on target, it didn't matter. Froggen was in range. He'd roamed up to get in distance for the Destiny. And the point that I was trying to highlight that I remember Joe saying so importantly is if that first Destiny doesn't work, it gives your opponents that window of opportunity to play more aggressively and to be more active on the map, make more plays, go for more invades. And Froggen secures the kill with that Destiny. He's gone back to the mid lane, actually. Has not opted to spend any of his money. Still sitting on 2,600 gold. And Nick is actually the first one that is back from that mid lane. He's got the makings of a Chalice of Harmony as well.
Important kill for him. Remember, no blue before Froggen. Diamond now making his way down towards this bottom lane. 2-0-2 for him. Let's see if he can get involved in a little bit more. See if he can make a play on Nif and Tabs, who has a big advantage so far.
So Diamond needs to wait a few CS. Edward is very close to hitting level 6. And that tidal wave would be very impactful with trying to keep Nif and Tabs in place. But instead, he may actually move around the back of the lane. Look at this, jungler's in the same page, but Tabs is melting Genja.
A lot of damage going down on Genja. Just a couple of hits there. Shook finds Diamond though, gets himself a cocoon down on him. Tabs trying to throw his ultimate spit on towards Diamond from long range. Didn't quite land, and they will back away.
Notice how Diamond is trying to set a gank up after the Destiny had been used from Froggen. While Diamond was doing a lot of counter jungling and moving around the map, he didn't pick the fight in the top lane, backed away, and it was a fairly successful tower dive from Alliance that got that kill. Now Shook is once again chilling in the bush. Last time he hung out in the top lane, he stayed long enough to secure the kill. Diamond is close-ish by the big white, but it's still going to be a little bit of time before he can get involved in the fight.
Wicked putting some pressure on Nick there as he took the Wraiths away. Nif will ward out Dragon. Actually, it looks like Dragon may well be started out here for Alliance. They're going to find, not quite get vision of Diamond there. They will do with that ward. But with him nearby, they decided maybe to be a little bit more cautious. Teleport's available for Wicked in that top lane, not available for Cubon. So if Cubon shows himself in a moment, he knows he's got to run all the way down if this fight would start.
30 seconds before Froggen's Destiny's up once more. Neither team has made a big play for Dragon, but with the warding Alliance have just put down, that has to be their focus. And Alliance will either look to punish the back timing of Gambit or try to force a fight and then go for objective. Look at the positioning here on Diamond. Destiny still not up for Froggen, so good numbers advantage. That's a 5-man, and Gambit simply can't contest.
Yeah, Wicked just teleports in, gets himself the Sunfire Cape, secures it. They were simply waiting for him to get that item secured, and he'll return to the top lane without trading anything. So Alliance get themselves the advantage now. 2,000 gold in the lead over Gambit with that second dragon of the game.
Smart play from Alliance. They set the vision up. Once they had full vision of the pit, then they just committed. They managed to secure. So for Alliance, they've now got themselves in a strong lead. We talked in picks and bans how their comp can do very well at finding picks because of the power of Twisted Fate, because of the cocoon and the death sentence. And we just need to see how Froggen now wants to keep playing. He's got a Morella Namicon picked up. That'll help negate some of the healing from Nami, as well as the 2 summoner heals that Gambit have got on the team. And I also think that Tabs is doing very well. He's got 2,400 gold, so he's also getting close to finishing a Trinity Force. He's extended that CS lead to 40 over Genja. There is a massive disparity in damage and itemization between both of these teams' AD carries.
Yeah, nearly 1,000 gold between the two. Now it's just past 1,000 gold, in fact, now between those two. So Tab's big lead. That, of course, all came from the opening start. The craziness, the battle that ensued in that river. When it was all going on, while Genja came up to help Gambit out and honestly win them that fight, Tabs was freely farming in that top lane. Nip and Edward going at it in the bottom lane, Kubon and Wicked poking back and forward. Remember, Sunfire Cape picked up for Wicked there, has to use his Dragon Descent to get away from the tower aggro. Shook is nearby, but there is a ward in that Tribush. He will get spotted out. Shook coming around to give full vision, give Kubon a little bit of a scare. Diamond is nearby, but I think they're not going to dive on this one just now.
The wards may be setting up for a future dive, though, if Wicked decides to heal and come back, get his Dragon's Descent once more. But since that opening engage in the first few minutes, Diamond has not been successful at finding ganks. If you compare Shook and Diamond post the opening kills, Shook has got ganks in the top lane, he's got Dragon, he's applied pressure bottom lane. And Diamond is still looking for the opportunity, he's still looking for the scenario where he can jump in. And he has to play a lot safer since the Destiny is now available for Froggen. So Gambit are most likely playing somewhat more reserved out of the threat of a Destiny gank from Froggen. He's got Flash, he's got Ghost, he's just picked up his Distortion boots as well. So we may even be seeing more decisive play, I think, from Froggen is the word I'm going to use.
Well, this bottom lane advantage is pretty huge. I'm seeing movement in the river, actually. Genja called out. He's going to have to rocket jump away, taking a big chunk of damage. Meanwhile, middle of the map, you can see the junglers and mid laners just shifting around there, trying to get some positional movement. Nick actually fairly low on health, but he gets a quick burst on Froggen. Pinkwood was cleared out by Diamond and Shook now. Gonna this time finally get the blue buff for Froggen.
Genja has 1,400 hit points, and that critical hit from Tabs took 25% of his hit points away. It was a 310 damage crit, and it just melted Genja's HP. We did see Edward land a pretty good bubble onto Nif, which at least negated any further aggression. But Genja's just playing full damage control. That CS lead is continuing to grow. Tabs has got another 10 CS advantage over Genja. And of course, because Genja's playing Tristana, it's actually difficult for him to sit on the back line and farm under his tower, because his explosive shot is going to be pushing the wave out. So it actually exacerbates the problem of Genja looking for CS, but still wanting to play safe.
We saw there, Diamond, of course, did level up his Void Spikes in his first evolution. We'll see what he does second time around. But that tower goes down. First one of the game for Alliance. Down in the bottom lane. Concrete performance from Tabs this time around in Nif. They are dominating this lane, honestly. A 60+ CS advantage now built up by Tabs over Genja. And they are not backing off just yet as they move 3 members onto this turret. You can see, actually, Nick making some moves. He's coming across. Remember, Destiny is available from Froggen if he needs it, as well as the teleport, not up currently for Wicked, but is for Kubon.
Another great bubble from Edward. It at least reduced some of the damage. Gambit are going to look to surround.
Whoa.
Look at Diamond coming in from behind. If Froggen wants to move for Destiny, that was a flash from Tabs, I believe. There's the tidal wave.
Edward flashed in as well. Diamond comes around. Nif flays him back there. Gets the death sentence on towards Nick. It's going to simply flash away from this one. Shook's going to try and run. Nif may well be the sacrificial lamb here. I think he will go down. Tabs is trying to make tracks here. Destiny not going to come out. Froggen's choosing to continue pushing the mid lane instead. And that gives 2 kills for Gambit.
So they shut them down. If Alliance can get 2 towers, that is a more than fair trade. Alliance get map presence and control. Shook makes it out alive, but you have to think that Tabs, Nif, and Shook were overextended. They may have counted on the pressure from Froggen, at which point Alliance decided to go the other direction. Nick is very low on hit points here and eats of wild cards as well, so got to be very, very careful. He's at threat of being caught out by Froggen. And I think strategically, Alliance probably made the right call. They get more net gold, they get more map control, and they've opened up Gambit's jungle for invades and for deep wards without having those outer towers, as well as made this next dragon safer for them because they've still got the middle and bottom tower to fall back to in the event of an engage.
Yeah, I do somewhat question Kubon's teleport down towards that bottom lane, whether it was absolutely needed, because you could tell Alliance, although Wicked did try and Dragon Descent pounce across, didn't quite get the interrupt on him, and instead took the tower, as you mentioned. 2 towers going down, very much worth it over 2 kills. Dragging it up in 20 seconds, Gambit currently have positional advantage, but Alliance, you can see, already moving in force. Kubon does not have teleport available, has just back to base. Wicked can join in at any time. Alliance, of course, has already secured the first 2 dragons of this game. Kubon is heading towards the pit. It's going to be a 5-on-5.
Yeah, Gambit have got pretty good vision set up, so they're aware the objective is coming up. They do, of course, have the timers, as long as they've seen the pit. But very importantly for Gambit, they can't run the risk of being collapsed on quickly. Because if Froggen manages... I mean, look at the damage from Tabs.
Oh.
He's just poked down Edward. There is a tidal wave available. And Gambit, this is risky. Teleport from Wicked as well as Destiny is going to come down from Froggen. And there's the engage.
No, instead, teleport comes in. Aqua Prism does not land because of that flash. Of course, top lane was pushed in, mid lane is pushed in as well. The inner turrets are taking a beating here while Gambit trying their best to prevent them going towards this. Well, blue buff might get stolen away here. Diamond had to smite that one away. That does mean, of course, smite is no longer available for the dragon.
Now, Alliance have got positional advantage. They've opted to go for the dragon instead of the mid tower. Gambit couldn't even contest. Their sentence gets avoided, but look at this. Gambit are being split up. They were forced to defend their own blue buff with the smite. So, sort of traded from earlier in the game. And while Gambit were defending their blue buff, Froggen was pushing mid lane. The rest of Alliance are now grouping up, potentially push top lane. This is all Alliance. They are dictating the tempo, and Gambit have not been able to find an opportunity to break Alliance's lines.
And this is what Alliance do best. Every team that's faced them has said, you know, positional map advantage. Alliance are the best in the business at this one. Gambit chasing down kills here, but they're leaving so much available on the map. Again, Tabs free farming down that bottom lane. Froggen shoves up the mid wave, and a simple lantern from Nif just pulls Shook out of danger, and 5 members of Gambit are completely left lost in the mid jungle.
Yeah, Edward threw out that tidal wave. It didn't work out. Probably the smart call, because Froggen was in the mid lane, Tabs was in the bottom lane, so Gambit sensed there was a theoretical opportunity. But they just couldn't catch up with the mobility. You know, Nif, with those boots of mobility, was able to get out to a safe enough distance. And he's definitely one of the unsung Thresh heroes. Nif is very, very solid on this champion. And if you go back to the beginning of the split, maybe it was last split as well. Wicked in trouble.
Well, Wicked's in a 2v1 here. He's doing a good trade, but it's not going to quite be enough. He will go down. Destiny comes out. Is Froggen fancying it? Yes, he is. He's going straight in. Diamond takes the sacrificial hit. But Froggen, look at this. Pops Ghost. He's chasing on Kubon. Don't think he's going to get close enough. Instead, we'll just red card and clear the wave.
Very important that he picked up those double buffs as well. Blue buff, rather. He had red buff previously, so grabbed himself that blue buff after Diamond smited it in the previous engage. And Nick, Death Sentence, can it connect? If it does, Tabs has got the damage.
There is a minion wave there. He won't get the slowdown on him. As we mentioned, Nif has got those boots of mobility. Shockwave pulled in. That's not going to be enough. He can just quickly shield that one off. And Tabs comes in to protect his support. And Nick forced to back away.
Yeah, but now with the damage that was put onto Nick and the fact that they know Shockwave is not available, Alliance can siege. They've got a lot of damage with Twisted Fate and Hourglass, as well as Tabs with Trinity Force, so they can destroy this tower in a couple of hits. There's no Shockwave threat here for Gambit, and Nick has got no mana. So it's super easy pickup for Alliance. Punishing the panic play, I think, from Nick.
So first inner turret of the game goes down for Alliance. Now 4-0. Continuing. Kubon chasing on towards Froggen. Has he got the gold card? Will land it, but I'm not sure if it's enough to get away. Kubon chooses not to follow. Hasn't got the vision of the rest of the team in the jungle there. But he forces Froggen to back.
It's important to note how much damage Kubon actually did put down. Despite being 7,000 gold down, if Gambit can find the right opportunity to engage, they could pop somebody very quickly. If Froggen, you know, lands with Destiny, gets instantly caught by a bubble from Edward and blown up, you can get resets for Diamond and for Genja. Let's see if Diamond's actually evolved his wings. He has. So if Gambit can find the right opportunity and kill Shook, Froggen, or Tabs very quickly in a fight, they can get the resets and chase, but that's the only way that they can make up this deficit. It's very reliant on killing Froggen before he hourglasses and not being knocked away by the Dragon's Descent from Wicked.
And honestly, if Tabs is left alone in that back line, he will kill everyone. Everyone on the field, no doubt about it. You just saw the damage he did to Diamond there. Just a 3-hit combo and half his hit points were gone. That's your jungler going down, who's 3-1-4, the most fed in the game so far for Gambit. So 7-5 in kills, but that's not what counts. 4-0 in turrets is the objectives. And more importantly, that gold advantage, of course, is 6,000 in their favor. Alliance starting off well here. Well, Gambit, in fairness, started off well, but a little bit of a loose play at the start. 4-2 up in the opening, exchanging kills as Eddie gives us a quick song as he backs. Will give Alliance a big lead in this game.
2 minutes to go till Dragon. Alliance are going to ward up the blue side jungle of Gambit, shove out that bottom lane, potentially to the inner turret. And they're either going to get the turret or they're going to get the Dragon. Look at the vision that is now being set up. Pink wards, green wards, the buddy system of Nif and Shook. While all of that's going on, Wicked is potentially getting ganked. He does have Dragon's Descent and his teleport will be available soon. But look at the pressure onto that tower from Alliance.
Well, this is what we've seen before, honestly. Wicked pulling all the attention. Flash will be back off in just a moment. Tams goes in, shoves up the minion wave, goes back to buy, completes Blade of the Rune King, and heads on back. And Alliance, they're in full control of the map right now.
2 Blade of the Rune Kings on the side of Alliance. A lot of damage from Shook with the Spirit of the Spectral Wraith and obviously the Hourglass and Froggen. There's not a lot of defensive stats yet for Gambit. Diamond has gone all aggressive. He's got a Brutalize in the makings of a Last Whisper. He's not tanking. Look at Wicked.
Whoa.
Melting Cubon in a 1-on-1.
Has to hit the ultimate to try and get some lifesteal back off that minion wave. Diamond is nearby, but I don't think Wicked's too worried about that one. Cooper's going to Blade Surge on towards him, dashes in there. Diamond now coming in for safety. Will try and get on towards him, but look at this. Froggen pops his ultimate, chases in, Ghost pops. Yellow card will come out in a minute. The stun goes down as the Diamond. He's going to drop, and Wicked tanks the turret. No problem about that one. The rest of Diamond try and react on towards it. They will get themselves a kill on towards Wicked. He stuck around a little bit too long. Now Edward's in there. Genja comes around the side there. Quick repel from Shook, but while this is all happening, Tabs is just free farming down the bottom, taking down yet another inner turret. He's going to push on towards the in-hit turret here as Alliance keep them busy in the top.
They trade 1 for 1. Dragon's going to be up in 15 seconds. If Alliance continue to stay grouped in the top lane, they may even be able to put pressure on the top inner turret. Tabs is finally deciding to back away, and Alliance once again using their bodies as bait. As soon as Gambit commit, team members of Alliance take down towers elsewhere on the map. They grab an uncontested tower in the bottom lane. Tabs continues to get farm, and now Alliance are roaming to the Dragon that we talked about. They set up this play in the bottom lane, realized there was an opportunity top lane. Froggen was forced to Destiny, of course, and the rest of the team came to back it up. But Alliance are just going to get their 10,000 gold lead. Yes, I'm going to call it that. At 25 minutes.
Just 800.
I can almost match.
It's almost there. So Alliance, big advantage for them now as they continue to prove why they are the top team in the league. And let's point out, more importantly, that if they win this game, they will be secure in that top spot come the end of Super Week, because they have that advantage over Fnatic, and Fnatic can now only equal them if Alliance were to win this matchup. Currently, Alliance would put them 2-0 in Super Week, which is a very, very good start for a team that has been, honestly, in brilliant form throughout the season.
Yeah, it has been their season. Or their split, rather. Now Wicked has found Diamond.
Diamond in a little bit of trouble. Eddie comes in and just gets a quick poke on him. That wasn't the Blade of the Rune King, by the way. That was just a simple, straight-up Dragon's Bite, I think, from Wicked. He's got himself a big wave. He'll just push on through.
Luckily, it applies the passive of Blade of the Rune King. That's just melting his HP. But again, Diamond still yet to complete the Last Whisper, still yet to build tanky items. That is literally a bug that can be squashed very quickly. Gambit's got no damage reduction in his Diamond's got no damage reduction in his ultimate. That's been gone for a few patches now. And that was one of the big reasons everybody moved away from Kha'Zix.
Oh dear. Oh, Diamond hooked in. He's not getting out of this one. Oh, is he?
Here
comes Destiny comes in. Froggen, that's a little deep. He's going to use a bit of a Messiah. Sundi's Hourglass straight in amongst 4 members of Gambit. Now Wicked, the big tanky target, comes on through. The rest of Alliance come through. Death Sentence's back off cooldown. Cubon hooked in this time. Didn't fancy that one. Shockwave pulls in 3 members of Alliance. Diamond pounces in there. there. Gubon gets 1 kill. Diamond gets the reset, jumps back in there. Genja gets the kill on that one. Everybody from Gambit so low. The heal will protect them and keep them away. It was a 2 for 0 though for Gambit.
Despite the fact that Gambit were 10,000 gold down going into that team fight, they found the right targets they were able to kite, and the resets is what helped them out. They got 1 kill, they chased further for another one. Alliance were disjointed. They went in drips and drabs, side by side, and weren't really a strengthened force. Now Gambit need to be very careful. They do have wards here, and Wicked does have teleport, so I don't think they're going to go for the objective, but if they at least deny the vision and regain some control of their jungle, it's steps to move forward. The key thing to note is just how split up Alliance are once this fight continues to break out. Froggen is between 4 members. Now he's going to get pulled to safety, and Wicked is then going to be between 4 members. Alliance are never dealing damage as a team, and single members of Alliance are being bursted down by multiple members of Gambit. Oh, another fight in the mid lane.
Straight back into it. We just saw Froggen surfing that wave, actually. That's made me giggle. But yeah, you can see the fact that Kubon teleported onto the ward in the bush, tried to rush straight around to Baron. They wanted to start it off, but again, that ping ward put a stop to that one. Steal away, Diamond there, gets the blue buff secured. While this is all happening, Froggen has snuck down the bottom lane, and this is what we talked about, the split push possibilities that a Twisted Fate does offer you, along with Wicked now going in towards that top lane. It's going to be a 1-3-1 split push for Alliance, going back to standard tactics.
It's what their composition does best. They put themselves into a position where they can push the side lanes, and because of the response that a teleport or a Destiny can have, it allows Alliance to maximize the opportunities they can punish. But the interesting to note is as this game continues to progress, Diamond has still not found another item. He's been sitting on a pickaxe longsword probably the last 9 minutes, and he hasn't earned a whole lot of gold. He's been investing a lot into vision, into wards. And yes, that is helping out in theory. Diamond is not growing in strength, whereas Shook has got himself a Randian's Omen completed, along with Wicked having a Randian's Omen completed. Gambit won that last fight because they single targets out. If Alliance don't make that same mistake, I don't think Gambit have the damage or the survivability to win another fight.
The big thing is Genja will get stronger, but the problem is Taps is ginormous right now. Froggen continues, shoves that wave in, comes across again, keeping the vision across the map. They're going to 1-4-1, 1-4 split push this time around. 1-4-1, they're going to get a 6-man on the pitch. You never know, the referee's going to pull himself up a computer in the top lane. Probably would hinder, actually, thinking of the referees. At the moment, though, Froggen shoves on along that bottom lane. Alliance, full control. What will Gambit do? They need a little bit of another successful play. Alliance went a little headstrong into the jungle, I think, and which is why they've stepped off the gas here and gone a bit more passive.
Notice Dragon's up once again in 2 minutes, and for the 3rd time this game, because Alliance have got all those towers down, because they've got a lead, they invest a lot of wards and vision into their opponent's jungle. I would dare say there's a small argument for maybe overkill because of the amount of wards that have invested for like the number of dragons. There's 3 sweeping lenses on Alliance, so they're spending a lot to get this vision. Now they need to punish it. To be fair, Alliance have got every single dragon in this game. But we'll see how they handle themselves. 45 seconds before it respawns. Gambit have not started to make a motion down there to either clear out wards or to get vision themselves. And I don't think they're going to be looking for a straight-up fight. They don't want a 5v5. Gambit want to surprise Alliance, 3v1, 4v1, and then fight the rest of the team once they have a 5v4 scenario.
Well, if you hold a conversation with any member of Alliance, it's only 2 sentences before they say vision control.
Yep.
Even if it's just, you know, you're talking about going down the pub later, they talk about vision control. You don't want to know about that. But they are very much focused on that one as a team, absolutely what they believe in. We heard, of course, Peke talking about yesterday in his interview, talking about their victory over Super Hot Crew, and talking about how basically the vision they had aided them in a complete dominant victory in that game.
Yeah, and it's one of the tools that just gives you the information to work with, especially when you've got a Destiny and a teleport to move around with. But for Alliance, they've not picked the best fights. They've picked the best objective trades, and they've been able to keep control of, you know, the towers and the dragons. But they're losing on kills. Every time engagements have happened, Alliance have been in the wrong place, right? So Destiny's coming in, and there's Wicked from the side.
Oh dear. We'll forget that happened and just move on, I think. Gambit will disengage as they manage to walk away from this one. Baron is a possibility, though. Still, Destiny was used. Alliance, though, let's not discredit here. They've had every single dragon and every single tower so far. Gambit yet to get a single objective on the map.
Yeah, Gambit have responded well to punishing Alliance when they're overextended. But once again, Nip has caught Nick, but he might go down.
Oh, he has to back us away from that one. Genji used his rocket jump to go in aggressively. It's important to note, Diamond now, he's in trouble. Wicked comes on towards him, Blade the Rune King will get the slowdown on him, along with the Randy and Zoman, but I'm not sure he's got the damage to dive on the tower. He could have dived, he could have took the hits, but it was risky.
If Wicked could have got Diamond lower or dead, that would have allowed Alliance to go for the Baron in much more safety. That is why he committed, why he burned the flash and tried to jump in there, but it did not work out in his favor. Gambit, unfortunately, again, are just too far behind. They don't want to stand toe-to-toe. And that last little giggle fight where Wicked and Froggen threw themselves at Gambit, Edward actually had a very good tidal wave. It was a strong disengage, despite the fact that Wicked went a bit wide with his descent in Dragonfall.
Not for the first time, that's for sure. So, Shook, laying in wait, he landed and threaded the needle with the cocoon at the start, which aided in Kubon going down. Taps was hoping something would get created, but instead, it looks like a bit of a Baron bait potentially here. Alliance want to try and draw Gambit in. Remember, Gambit have famed before for basically saying they're going to throw everything into a fight to maybe make sure that that Baron is stopped. They put high value in this target, as they should. Edward hooked in and taken down. Tabs just shreds through his health there. Kubon comes in, but look at Tabs, he's just ripping through that top laner. Now Nick separated out. Wicked pounces through and he just disappears under the flap of his wings. Now Genji's gonna get chased down. Destiny comes out, Froggen catches on. Kubon there. Genji blows Froggen off the map. Diamond gonna get focused on. Tabs doing all of the damage. One more shot, not gonna land. The stealth just about gives him the speed to evade that ultimate, but the Baron will go down. It's Alliance once again coming out on top.
Finding the right targets and this time punishing Gambit for being split up. Alliance landed all of the crowd control they needed, and the very farmed, very fed Tabs and Froggen were able to just clean house in that scenario. So Alliance grabbed themselves 3 kills, grabbed themselves a tower in the top lane, and a Baron. And now Alliance should feel comfortable to continue committing. That's just Tabs and Nip peeling at the right time. Alliance were never fully committed to going for the Baron as the solo target. You've seen how quickly they responded to the threat of Gambit. Instantly, every single member peeled. And it's because they had such a big item lead.
What surprised me there, like Nick was caught with a cocoon and how quickly they switched from Kubon to Nick instantly. The shot call is so crisp and clean right now for Alliance. They quickly all reacted instantaneously, all 5 of them going towards that same target. Diamond caught out here. Pinkwood was getting cleared. I'm not sure Nif's going to catch on towards him. Tab will get some damage down and the eyes and the vision are on him. He continues to poke in. Wicked's chasing around. He finds Nick, pounces across Dragon's Descent and just melts him once again under his wings. Now Nick this time. Wave gets rided out. Quick surfing comes out from Tabs and Wicked, but Gambit have to back away. Now 5 members with Baron are going up against 4 members of Gambit trying to hold this inhibitor turret.
Tabs hit every single living artillery while chasing Diamond through the jungle. Alliance are now onto the inhibitor turret. There's very little Gambit can do. With the tidal wave being used in the jungle, there's no disengage power or engage power. And at 36 minutes, yes, Diamond finally finished his last Whisper, but he's picked up the defensive item he needed. Negatron Cloak. Not even it, a null magic mantle. No. That's it. Diamond does not have gold. He does not have the resources he needs to be the impactful champion he needs to be, despite the fact he went 2-0-2.
We'll see how it works out. At the moment, it's looking like Alliance strongly in the favor. 666 for Alliance. They are the beasts as they move through on Gambit, who are just shy of 50,000 gold. So you can tell 17,000 gold differential now, as Alliance almost certainly will close out this game for the win. Of course, that gives hope and praise maybe even for Copenhagen Wolves, who themselves went 0-2 yesterday. They need Gambit to go down in this game and keep themselves in 7th place.
So Froggen did use his Destiny a moment or two ago just to get up to this lane and help put some more pressure onto the tower. And rightly so. If Gambit lose, well, when they lose this game, they will be 1-1 on the week. Copenhagen Wolves are 0-2. Gambit needs to have one more win than the Wolves. Right, ditch effort from Gambit. They've got Nets.
Ditch effort, they got towards Tabs. Straight away, Cooper goes down. And they bounce on through. Not too sure what Trevor was thinking, but nonetheless, Alliance know exactly what the focus is. Nick will get down. He's going to get caught out the heel. Is it going to be enough? Blue card's going to get on towards him. That will be Genja that goes down. Wild card's thrown on through Nick and Edward, both caught with the damage on that one. Alliance will clear out. They don't care about the inhibitor now because the Nexus turrets have been opened up as they push on through. And Alliance secure themselves first place. Will they finish it here, though? I'm not sure. You can see they're trying to pull the damage back down. Can they get on towards it? Just hit the damn Nexus turret for crying out loud. Alliance just toying with the sun. They want some more damage. That's all they want. And after KDA stats, they're trying to pad them out. It doesn't matter. Alliance are top of the European League of Legends Championship Series in the league and move into playoffs, the #1 seed.
Took a long time to close that out. And Nabs, as it was at the end, managed to get caught. I got a bit excited, D-Man. I got a bit excited.
I'm glad it was Nabs you said, because I thought you said something else. Nonetheless, Alliance, dominant win for them, proving why they are the best team in Europe right now, and really, they are light years ahead of some of their opposition.
To be fair, it did feel like they were struggling to find ways into Gambit. They committed 2 or 3 times in that sort of 20 to 35 minute mark.
Thank you very much, D-Man. Trevor is so happy about those tiebreakers, and so are we, of course. But Nif, the man of the hour, congratulations, another victory here for the Alliance. Tell me about the preparation going into this one. I can imagine that it was very relaxed knowing that you guys had locked in that top 2 spot already.
Yeah, we pretty much had to win only one more game, and we're really happy that we achieved the first place in the season. Will this give us a good advantage for the playoffs? We didn't prepare for every single enemy, rather for the whole weekend. So we had some tactics prepared. This time we had a pick comp and we made it work, even though we had a lot of mistakes.
It really seemed like you guys controlled the game in the case you always got all the objectives. Yes, you gave up a few kills. We can actually just pull up the replay we do have, because it's where you guys are already in the lead and you're baiting out the Baron, you're waiting for Gambit to make a move. So we can just roll the clip and you can talk over it.
Okay, yeah, so here we catch Nami. He wants to ward so deep, and we get the kill, and then we just clean up afterwards. They are splitting, so they get the one full cocoon from Shook, and then we get the Orianna. We knew she had no flash, I think. Yeah, and then we just keep chasing with the TF ultimate pretty much, and then we just have to clean up and then get Nash and then finish the game.
And it seemed to be the tactic you guys were going to run with Wicked split pushing, and then you had the rest of the members in the mid lane. Froggen could always join in. And somewhat the same he's doing here. As soon as you guys are chasing, he joins in, he picks up the kills. Was the whole idea just to do this 1-4 for pretty much the entire game long, or what was the plan?
Yeah, it depends. We have TF, so you just have to pick around the map wherever there's someone out of position pretty much. You don't have to do it 1-4, you can 1-3 as well, but I think 1-4 was a smart idea in that game.
Well, you guys did fantastic in this game. Do you feel any difference in the way Gambit is playing now, obviously, in comparison to how they were playing before? Because it seems to us that they have better synergy. They did lose this game, but it didn't seem like it was a walkover.
Yeah, I think they play better. They had a good early game as well, where we also made some stupid mistakes. But they were overall better, but they got really far behind at the bot lane because they chased us, and then we used this really hard, so we could just snowball from there on.
I asked Yellowstar yesterday who he thought would actually qualify into the semifinals between SK Gaming, Millennium, Rocket, and Super Hot Crew, of course. And I'm going to ask you as well. Which 2 teams do you think is going to make it into the semifinal?
From the
quarterfinals, who's going to win, get into semifinal?
Oh, that's a tough question.
Or who would you rather face?
I would say a Super Hot Crew. I think they are the strongest team right now.
Even after they lost 2 games here in Super Week, you still believe they are the strongest of the 4?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, they have to prepare a bit more. Like it feels like that. The mid lane, I don't remember. He got outpicked a bit. Selfie, yeah, sorry. And they have to work on more picks so that doesn't happen again.
All right, and then finally, talk me through your aspirations for the playoffs. Obviously, very important going into that as #1. That must give a mental advantage as well.
Yeah, I think it's really good. It helps as well. And we saw the bracket of the Gamescom, and we saw the first team get the second game, so it's in the afternoon, so that helps us really much. So we wanted to secure the first place for sure.
All right, well, thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thanks.
We have to step away for a moment, but when we come back, Roccat tries to rise above their 6th place spot, while the Copenhagen Wolves try to hold on to 7th. Stay tuned.